just last weekend. He played against Noventia, and that was game 5 as well.
Yes.
Very close to being an upset, but he really, in those key moments, knows how to dial it in, put it all into perspective, and just sort of slow it down to his pace, play his own game, and really kind of piece his opponent apart. And I feel like in these Zona matchups specifically, like Pac-Man, like Samus, he's really good at playing as a mix.
And the thing is as well is that like Anbil's run has been really solid all the way up to this point, right? You know, we obviously mentioned Grizzlius a little bit earlier on. Going game 5, the Ditto can be a real point of contention for a lot of players. It can be very difficult, particularly with these sort of unorthodox characters. And then of course beating Shanique to get here as well, who has been really on a tear, really doing well with 13th place. But of course Anbil going to be looking for that top 8 on the belt, and it's going to be interesting to see. Again, Mewtwo and Pac-Man, both not very common characters in the grand scheme of things, so it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, you got to be careful with things like that, just not quite missing the tech, but dying so early for it, and Octave going to be running with that momentum. Again, Mewtwo not necessarily known for those super duper early kills outside of those specific setups, so Anbil going to have to earn this the honest way, but certainly, again, a man of many years, a man of a lot of tournaments, a lot of experience. He's been in these kind of spicy spots before. Yeah,
unfortunately, just missing his, using his double jump and missing the tag, that combination of elements just leading to a very early stock. But like you said, Anbil knows how to play these situations. It's not like these are completely unfamiliar to him. It's not a massive comeback yet either. It's a stock in percent, but it's not yet a death, even though Octave was looking for some sort of crazy setup there, maybe a back air, maybe even something stronger, but he doesn't quite find it. Just gets an up air, gets some nice percent, and that percent is really all you need when you've got Bell in hand right behind a Hydrant. But Anbil using his fair to dissuade any sort of options like that right now, right at the ledge. Octave using his option, the grab doesn't quite reach, and Anbil manages to answer back with a fair, but it's not looking super confident yet as Octave lives that second fair. That back air comes out though, and that massive hitbox finally takes stock 1 of this Pac-Man player.
Yeah, the Nair out of shield as well, going to be working wonders for Octave. Of course, Mewtwo, the big thing is, of course, the hurt box on the character, and the neutral air just being able to hit all around is going to be so good. And yeah, I think we are seeing some little flickers of unfamiliarity in the matchup. I mean, at the end of the day, Anbil is the kind of player where you are going to make those strong adjustments in those game 2, game 3, but it seems at the moment that hasn't quite got grips on some elements of the matchup. And the thing is, even if you have, again, players like Octave, you know, really solid Pac-Man players are sort of incredibly rare. So there may be some setups that Anbil just straight up hasn't seen before. So it's going to be interesting to see how he is able to adjust to that. That side B certainly is a very good start. And oh my goodness, Octave just really piling on that aggression at the side of the stage and nearly lapping in percent 2 stocks to 1 in the favor of Octave at the moment.
Yeah. What a lot of Scotland will tell you is that Octave is a pretty habits-based player. He has a pretty strong game plan, I would say, in that he likes to repeat. He's got similar options that he's going to do over and over that I don't think Anbil has caught on yet. For example, in the air, he's going to do his Hydrant, landing aerial. There will always be a Hydrant before he lands. There will always usually be an aerial if he has the space, for example. Things like that. There's always an aerial that comes after the fruit that he launches, like your shield as well. And it's these sort of little pattern recognitions that Anbil's going to have to lock in very quickly if he wants to make sure that he's beating Octave at his own game, because Anbil has the capacity to adapt, but you first have to recognize as well, and then you have to figure out the option. It doesn't seem to me that Mewtwo has amazing options at shutting down Pac-Man's landing options, or that he's got the best out of shield, aside from fair, to get rid of Pac-Man if he's kind of swinging in his face. So he has to figure out what Octave is doing first, and then secondly, figure out what Mewtwo should do in response.
And I love the fact that Anbil is taking this opportunity to charge Shadow Ball. I'm not quite sure where it went. Don't get it twisted.
The platform.
But honestly, the platform's like, yeah, you know what, never mind. And the up air, a little bit of suspect DI there, just dying off of the top. But yeah, it does already feel like Anbil is getting to grips with those habits like you were mentioning. Particularly there was the sort of the short hop back fair to catch the roll in.
Yeah.
You know, when you're already making those kind of like calls on those defensive habits in game 1, it already shows that the cogs are beginning to whir.
Agreed.
And it's going to be interesting to see how the overall structure of Anbil's game plan changes in terms of sort of avoiding the tricks and the traps and instead trying to exploit the habits. Because like you said, you know, Octave does have these habits. You know, Scotland have played him an awful lot, but in the same vein, his game plan is so solid that even if you've got those habits, you've got to sort of work out how to get around every piece of the puzzle rather than the few that are sort of blinking at you, so to speak.
Precisely that. You've got to And as you said, there might be a bit of unfamiliarity, so you have to figure out Pac-Man, then you have to figure out Octave. It's a two-layer thing, and Octave performs well out of regions consistently, for good reason. It's not an easy game plan to figure out, and he uses it really, really well, and he will make a few changes himself. He knows how to deal with people repeating the same disadvantage options over and over, and in particular, he's really, really keen on those conversions as well. So Octave's not going to make it easy for you at all, and we'll have to see how Anbil responds with a very nice combo. Doesn't quite get the second up air, but resets it with a fair, looking for maybe like a deeper read with the back air, but Octave goes straight towards the ledge. Very safe with it right now. I think the name of the game is kind of holding onto your stock so you can play your zoning game, and Octave's doing a really good job of it.
Yeah, we can see in the moment Anbil just sort of nickeling and diming his way back into the set, really using that side B to a lot of its potential at the moment. There we go, just waiting for that defensive habit, and then the running forward tilt as well, just catching the fact that what's it called? Anbil. Very close. Ooh, not quite just enough yet, but the hydrant, here we go, the ledge trap. Yeah, it's so tricky in that situation because Octave's going to be ready for the roll in, and then if you drop off ledge, which is realistically the only other option that you've got, you're then re-grabbing ledge against Pac-Man, and it just gets so tricky. Stunning stuff from Octave, the side B just ejecting him out of that situation completely, but giving Anbil all of the stage control and the down smash to boot as well, but stunning the eye from Octave to live.
Yeah, not quite killing with that one. Second down smash comes out, doesn't quite get the timing. The Shadow Ball comes out and gets completely eaten by Fruits. And I'm starting to notice that I think Mewtwo might have a hard time zoning in this matchup. I think he's mostly just depending on his reflexes to get rid of Pac-Man zoning, and might be like more focused on using that tail, using a little bit of his range, that mid-range in particular, instead of long-range engagements in this matchup so far. Side B comes out, converts into fair, but doesn't quite get the stock from across the stage. Slides a little bit with that Shadow Ball, doesn't get the down smash either. Anbil looking for kills and fully runs in with that grab. We're seeing so many overshoots with the grab today, and I'm pleased. I love these sort of reads.
Honestly, and just the superior run speed of Mewtwo sealing Octave's fate there. The one thing that I really want to point out that Anbil has already made a good adjustment with is the lack of edge guard attempts, right? It's so tempting to try and edge guard a character, particularly I've seen his Twitter, I've seen the clips that he can pull where he can just go out and he can edge guard these characters time and time again. But Pac-Man has so many good options that can go so low to just avoid this entire threat range that you have, that you can end up reversing yourself, you can end up losing that stage control, and instead going for the charge down smash and instead electing for the ledge trap instead, which is showing to be a lot more. Slight mistiming there on the forward smash, not quite managing to get a Meteor punish. However, still very much safe in this encounter, and we're going to see how far he can go. And there we go, once again, just electing to go backstage. Great grab there from Octave, and we're going to see what the Bell is able to do. He goes. Ooh, and he converts off of it? It's kind of nice, I've got to say.
I was like, oh, Anbil figured out the situation. No. Octave is thinking 4 layers ahead right now. Apple comes out, doesn't find purchase. I think that's killing Mewtwo at this percent. That's a dangerous option as well. There's a lot of different ways that you can take the stock, and Ki is one of them, but it trades with Shadow Ball. Mid-charge Shadow Ball will not be killing at that percent, however. Octave holding on 143, needs to up me back. Doesn't get the timing. Gallagher coming out, but it doesn't quite hit Anbil. Octave right now is, again, it's a game of nickel and diming, but that back air is going to sweep through that stock, and he takes game 2.
It's a deceptively strong back air as well. You think with the animation there, it's sort of this little flick, but in those clutch moments, it's such a good kill option, this big sweeping hitbox. But yeah, absolutely, it feels like Anbil has already made those adjustments, catching on to a few of those defensive habits. And the thing is that Octave has still got a lot up the sleeve. And again, his overall game plan, it is incredibly solid, and we can see these moments where, you know, like his use of the fruit and use of things like the Gallagher to, you know, just deal with Shadow Ball. We saw Gallagher like tank like a nearly full Shadow Ball and then just carried on anyway. So Octave is going to have that knowledge, you know, very much also a grinder of the game. This is the thing, even though he is not necessarily as well traveled as his peers, he is still one of those where he is, you know, playing in a lot of Wi-Fi brackets. I remember particularly over the pandemic era, this was a man who was in, you know, 2, 3, 4 Wi-Fi events a week. This man took it very seriously and still does, and is still, even in a region where they have learned that somewhat tricky matchup, he is still performing and doing well in his home region time and time again. So we're going to see what he can bring to the table here in game 3, getting a couple of forward airs off of that Gallagher and just continuing, trying to get the cheeky kill there with the down air, but Anbil just being a little bit too high up. And there we go. Just the neutral air to hit the shield and then just elects to get on out of there. However, Anbil, ooh!
That's a dangerous one. Anbil loves that rising up air into fair, and it is very, very strong as well. That fair has so much base knockback that even Pac-Man at those percents is going to have to fear it. It's going to take a stock very, very early, and even at late percent taking that stock as well, instantly just runs into that side B, not fearing it at all, takes the stock with it.
Can I just point out the fearlessness of both of them in that situation where Octave was just charging through, Anbil was just charging Shadow Ball in the face, no fear from either of them. Obviously Octave was intangible, so it was absolutely fine, but like Anbil was just like, I'm going to charge a Shadow Ball. I know you're charging the fruit, and you know what, I'll get my resource while you get yours. Thank you very much. Nearly had it there with the forward air, but catching the jump neutral air. Ooh, and an air dodge and drift away. Anbil keeping that in the back of the mind, waiting for the read and time.
God.
And time again. It feels like those adjustments have been made here, Zanetti.
I think he's reflected the last 3 through, and none of them were reactable. They're full reads. He's fully understood Octave's timings. And yeah, you're right. It's a game of adjustments. He is a very strong player. Fundamentally, especially, I think Anbil is incredible. And those sort of fundamental players are the ones always fastest to figure out these really tried and true game plans, and it's clear that Anbil has a little number on Octave's timings at this point, and it is Octave that's going to have to swap the numbers. He's going to have to delay or speed up his options a little bit right now because Anbil has a hold on them. And I wanted to mention earlier, we didn't get to see in game 1 how Anbil would play a lead. We did get to see it in game 2. It's this. He's underneath a platform and shadowballing, minimum shadowballing most of the time, and that's it. And Octave actually kind of has nothing. Like, he will wait until Hydrant is killable to throw his Shadow Ball, or he will just reflect, or he will fair if you come in. And it's working quite well. Octave's managed to find a few hits now, but he's built up a lot of percent with it already, and the lead just keeps on widening, and you know that the moment he gets to those higher percents, Mewtwo has a plethora of kill options, kill setups, like the Shadow Ball into the fair to take that stock, and damn, he's clean with those.
I was going to say, just that slowing down like you mentioned and really making Octave trying to work for any kind of hit, and then knowing that exact percent as well to get that kill confirm, it just goes to show how well versed and how much of a specialist Anbil is with his character. It's so impressive to see someone who is stuck with a fairly niche character in the grand scheme of things and really just sort of pushed and pushed and pushed to bring this character to life. But, you know, we are going to see what Octave is able to do, see if those adjustments can be made on his end. Again, it's one of those where, like, we've seen how he plays from behind, we've seen how he plays from ahead. It feels like Octave has got quite a breadth of knowledge to be able to draw from, and we can see it with the bigger stage as well. It feels like Octave is going to be sort of leaning more towards potentially that defensive game plan, right? Going for the setups with the Hydrant, with the fruit, more than happy to take things slower if he needs to. But Anbil at the moment very much taking the fight to him, 71% already on the board and trying to get a little bit more, but that Hydrant saving Octave's skin in that moment.
Yeah, but in particular, I want to talk a little bit about Anbil's little routine he seems to do at the end of each game. He does a knee slap on both sides, and I feel like it really sort of gets him in the zone. The moment he's outside of the game, he's super casual and super friendly. He winked at me before we started, but the moment he gets in game, it's full focus and determination. You can see it right now, how much it means to him, and how eagerly he's playing, how wholeheartedly he's facing this matchup, and has really, really learned. And I think it's incredible how hard he's adapted, honestly, Joycey. That's the big name of the game. He has learned this matchup, it feels, in the span of a few seconds. But Octave answers back with balance aside, but he doesn't quite take the stock, even with Mewtwo's lightness. Kalos is a bit too big of a stage, and Anbil manages to escape and survive that situation. But Octave is saying he has not run out of tricks in the bag yet. He is not finished yet, but oh my goodness, you mentioned that situation was checkmate, and he figured out the response the second time around.
It's so damn impressive to see, right? We saw that earlier on, right? That same setup, and Anbil just neutral getting and getting hit, and already have that moment, right? That needs that answer instead, and just instead of, maybe there was that temptation to teleport in center stage, but Anbil again being that second step ahead, just saying, right, you know what, I'm just gonna like neutral air dodge down and just wait for you there. However, Octave very much keeping it even so far. I think maybe DIing out there, hoping to get away from the onslaught of Anbil, but it not quite working out just yet. Octave on potentially his last stock of the tournament now. It is the bell counterplay that I'm going to be interested to see from Anbil. It feels like the Bell hasn't quite managed to be solved just yet, and again, just this little bit of a slower pace. Octave being just that little step higher, managing to get the down air, throwing the orange, trying to get something started, but just jumping into that shadow ball, trying to pressure Anbil, and Anbil just throwing the projectile to say, get away from me, I am not interested in what you have to say.
Oh, and look at it, look at the full commitment movement, look at the B reverses, the way that he sticks to him. He's grabbing with air dodge at this point, Joyce. He's getting these combos. Then drop into that. Octave at the ledge, not going to get down smash, but he's still stuck in the situation. The roll was almost fair, but he didn't quite find it, and finally Octave answers back with a bell into up smash, but Anbil has the numbers, it feels like right now. It really does feel like these advantage options, and particularly this neutral, these fruits can't find purchase. Hydrant comes towards Octave, he jumps through it. He is right now trying to battle tooth and nail these aerials, takes his time, avoids the up smash, avoids the reflector, but Fair's going to call out that option is so fast, lagless, back air doesn't quite catch. Octave gets caught out with Fair at the ledge, and Anbil takes it.
Stunning 3-1 in the favor of Anbil. Just seeing those adaptations in real time, these setups that Anbil